Wednesday show. Wednesday show. Wednesday show. We're a few minutes behind schedule, so I apologize. I'm still trying to get everything I usually do like the come join us, blah blah blah. And I'm trying to get that done right now too. I literally just got back from the park like 10 minutes ago. And I was like running around. Join us. All right, so how's everyone doing? Are you guys doing good? Hopefully everyone's doing well. We are going to be coming to you, or we are live from my condo. Today we are going to be going through and doing what we've been doing the last few weeks, where we're going to be letting you choose the topic that we're going to be talking about tonight. So if you guys want to join us for the topic tonight, well, join us for the topic tonight. Hello. How's everyone doing? Is everyone doing well out there? I hope everyone's doing good. And we do this real quick here. We are talking Disney. About Disney right now over on the From Screen to Theme Facebook page and my YouTube channel. And let's the link there for the YouTube channel as well. So my cousin's in town, so I was with my cousin all day, and they left, and I had not done enough rides because I'm obsessed with this challenge of who can get more by the end of the year, if I can do more YouTube or get more subscribers, or if you guys can get, if I can get more YouTube subscribers from you guys, or if we can have it so I do more attractions over the course of 2023. And I didn't really think about this as a challenge until a few weeks ago when I was talking to someone. I literally jokingly said it. I was like, maybe I should try to get as many, do as many attractions this year as subscribers I have on YouTube by the end of the year. And you know me, I'm so competitive that I was like, now I have to do this. But in order to fully pull this off, we haven't really talked about this too much on the show. We've done 2 YouTube videos about it, three now, YouTube videos about it. But essentially, this is the way that the whole thing started. Here, let's talk about this. We're like so off topic, and we haven't even started yet. So December 30th, 2022, my friend Alex wrote to me, and she was like, hey, I found this app for you. It's called Think Counter. And on there, you can put in whatever you want to put in. And what you can do is you can count different things. She's like, you should do this to keep track of how, which attractions you do and which attractions you do the most throughout the year and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, great idea. So January 1st, I didn't go on rides because the park was busy. January 2nd, I didn't go on any rides because the park was busy. January 3rd, I believe was the first day that I went on a ride. It was Guardians of the Galaxy because I got a virtual queue for it. And then as time started to go on, I started to become more and more obsessed with the idea of I'm not going on enough rides. Like I was doing a lot of things that I usually do, which is go around, explore the details, take pictures, do videos, all that other fun stuff. And I was like, I'm not doing enough attractions this year. And it was kind of driving me a little crazy. I apologize if this is completely off topic, but hopefully people are finding this interesting. So I started to realize that, and because I was only averaging like maybe 2 attractions a day, like it was like 32 days into the year, and I had done 64 attractions, and I was like, this isn't much. Like this is literally a month into the year, and I have not even done 100 attractions. That's just a shame. So I started to pick it up, and then I started saying, okay, maybe I should try to average 3 attractions a day. And then all of a sudden, as soon as I started averaging 3 attractions a day, I was like, oh, I bet I could try, I should average 4 attractions a day by the end of the year. And then 4 has turned into 5 now. And then right around the same time, it was I want to see how many attractions I can actually do by the end of the year. Because at first I was like, I need to do at least 1,000, because I'm positive that even without me doing this stuff, I do at least 1,000 attractions every single year. If not, probably a lot more. But I was like, I need to do more. And so I started to kind of go through this idea of averaging to like, I need to do this many attractions in a year. And then that's kind of snowballed into this crazy challenge of can I have done more attractions in a year than subscribers I get throughout the entire year. So it kind of went through this whole snowball crazy effect, which has gotten to us to where we are now. So quick update. I'm going to be filming a video tomorrow too about an update. By the way, I also have a popcorn seed stuck in between my teeth way back here and I can't get it out. But I just got it home, so I didn't have time to like brush my teeth or anything. So right now, done a lot of attractions. Right now, we are currently at, where's it at? 682 attractions I've done so far. It is the 151st day of the year, which means I am averaging 4.516556291 attractions per day. Not too bad. So in order to get to where my subscriber count is right now, actually, I don't even know. Let's check it out. Let's do our usual checkup here. See how many subscribers we have at the start of the show here. And we are currently at 2,870 subscribers at the start of the show here. Side note, if we get 6 more subscribers by the end of the show, I will have hit 100 subscribers in the month of May. So if you know anyone, the month of May is literally 3 hours away from finishing. But if we can get 6 people to subscribe by the end of the month, so in 3 hours, that'd be awesome. So send people over so that way we can have it so we have 100 subscribers by the end of May. Let's do this here. 2,870 divided by 365.
2,870 divided by 365 is approximately 7.86.
7.86. So I would have to average 7.86 attractions per day throughout the entire year to get to where you guys would be right now. But of course, at the same time, part of this challenge is that you can keep on adding more people as well. What is the link to the app? The app is just called Count Things, or Thing Counter. Thing Counter? I always forget. People ask me all the time. Thing Counter, and it's just the plus sign is the link. All right. So, anyways, let's get to the show. We're going to start the 719th episode of the Wednesday Show in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 719th episode of the Wednesday Show. Today is May 31st, 2023. I don't know why I said it like that. 2023. I'm your host, as always, Brent Dutch. Hello. Today we're going to be going through and talking about your topic, whatever you guys want to choose. We're going to be doing a topic vote here in just a few minutes. I asked my Patreon people to throw some stuff over, so we will see. We'll do maybe 2 options or maybe 3. But of course, before we get to that, let's talk about our news for the week. First off, thank you everyone out there who's been joining us for our Saturday in the Park. If you didn't already know, every single Saturday on my YouTube channel, we do a live broadcast from someplace found throughout the Walt Disney World Resort. You never know where we're going to find us, but I guarantee you we will always be at Disney. So make sure you join us every single Saturday right over on my YouTube channel. This Saturday could be a crazy. I don't know. We're still going to be there at 1 o'clock Eastern. I don't know how I'm going to be. I might be exhausted. I have a work meeting at 7 a.m. and I finish work at 2 a.m. the night before. And I plan on probably just going right to the park before I have to go back to work at 4 p.m. So expect exhaustion on Saturday. I apologize in advance, but expect exhaustion on Saturday. Matt, you are one of my Patreon people. Splash Mountain is a great topic. We will add that into our list of topics as well that we can possibly vote for. And of course, as always, tonight's episode is sponsored by It's All About the Mouse Travel Jazz Hands. Make sure you stop by. It's allaboutthemousetravel.com for all of your Disney travel needs. All of their services are absolutely positively 100% free. So make sure you book with them for your next Disney vacation. Okay, so let's get this party started. We are going to be talking about one of 3 possible topics. I like the idea of Splash Mountain as one of them, mainly due to the fact that it did close up yesterday over at Disneyland. People took its last thing. So your 3 options. Ask the expert, because we throw that every week. Splash Mountain, kudos to Matt for giving that one out there. I like that one idea a lot. And then our third one will be Indiana Jones, movies, shows, and attractions. So those are our 3 options for the topic tonight. So throw your things out there. Lauren, the topic you threw in there was for an Ask the Expert. That's not what we're not looking for. Ask the Expert. Ask the Expert's one of the choices. You guys are choosing the 3 choices. So the 3 choices for tonight are either an Ask the Expert segment, we'll do that, a Splash Mountain episode, or an episode all about Indiana Jones movies, shows, or attractions. You guys have about 1 minute to throw your votes into the comments below. Which one of those 3 topics would you like to have it so we talk about for the next 50 minutes? Throw your vote into the comments here. I think we're having some technical problems again with some people. So we got 1 vote for Splash Mountain. We got 2 votes for Splash Mountain. How do you do? Mighty fine greeting. How do you do? Bum. How do you do? I just thought of something that's funny that I could do for a Splash Mountain episode. You got about 30 seconds left to throw your votes in there. Now, I had someone who wrote to me saying that they're still having technical issues trying to get into the chat room. It was resolved for a few weeks there, and I don't know why it's not working again here. Although I do have a theory right now, and we're going to try that theory. All right, the choices again, since some people said they haven't done it. Splash Mountain, Indiana Jones movies, shows, and attractions, or Ask the Expert. We've never had we actually did have 1 Splash Mountain episode way back in 2012. 100% it was 2012. I don't know how I remember it was 2012. I just remember it was 2012. I'm just like remembering where things were in my condo, even though my condo's like stayed the same pretty much, but like I don't know. Does anyone else get that? Like where like if you have a memory, you just kind of like look around, it's like, oh well, that wasn't there, so that cuts out that year, and I don't know. I've just got a weird brain. There's a thing I'm positive I have. It's called hyperthermia, and apparently it means that you just remember like every detail of your life, and I think I have that. So. Oh yeah, it looks like we were going to be doing an episode about Splash Mountain. So let's talk about Splash Mountain. Okay, this is what I was going to do. So if we want to talk about Splash Mountain, let's find the chapter here on Splash Mountain. No, we're gonna take from what I have in my memory. We'll use the book as a reference in case I do forget some stuff, which we probably will forget a few things as we go through here. But let's get this party started. Let's talk about the history of Splash Mountain, how we got to Splash Mountain, and then eventually the attraction itself until eventually we get to the demise of Splash Mountain as well, unfortunately. Like I said, yesterday was the last day for Splash Mountain over in Disneyland. Now, Disneyland Splash Mountain was the original Splash Mountain. It has a very unique history around how it got to where it is today. So let's talk a little bit about how it got to where it is today. Or yesterday, because now it's gone. So, oh, it's so sad because I love Splash Mountain. You got Brer Fox right there. Okay, so Splash Mountain started off way before the idea of Splash Mountain was even a thing. In fact, we have to go about 40 years into the past to get to the future. So, starting off back in the 1940s, we had a movie called Song of the South, which came out. Now, with the idea, I can't believe I never knew until it closed at the top was the profile of a rabbit. It's funny, I had someone who wrote to me about that after it closed, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I said that on my website like years ago, but I never really remembered anything about it. So back in the 1940s, there was a movie called Song of the South. Fun fact, it was Dave Smith's favorite film. It was also Floyd Norman, one of the animators for Disney. He's still kicking it today. Does great drawings on Facebook. If you're friends with him on Facebook, check it out. He did not work on the film, but I have seen him post several times about how those are some of his favorite characters and some of his favorite animation of all time. A lot of different people have loved the animation of Splash Mountain, or I'm sorry, Song of the South. If you've never seen Song of the South, essentially what it is, it's about a plantation farm back in the way back in the days, back in the 1800s, and there's a little boy named Johnny who is running away, and he eventually makes his way to Uncle Remus. Uncle Remus goes through and he retells some stories about Brer Rabbit and Brer Rabbit and how he's always getting in trouble with Brer Fox and Brer Bear and how he's always running away from his problems and how he just kind of has to go back home because In reality, home is where the heart is. Oh, it's so sweet. If you've never seen it, the animation is beautiful. It also gave us great songs like Zippity Doo Dah and Everybody's Got a Laughing Place. Those are the two big ones. but so the film came and went. The guy who played Uncle Remus, he actually went on to win an Academy Award, as it was an honorary Academy Award for his portrayal as Uncle Remus in the film. So years later, Disney would come out with another attraction, which was called America on not America on Parade. Oh wait, I'm drawing a blank. It's America on the Parade was something else that happened also back in the 1970s, but that's not what we're talking about here. We are talking about, oh my gosh, someone help me out in the chat room, because I am drawing the biggest blank on the name of this attraction. And I know I have it in here. America Sings. America Sings. Thank you, Matt. So there was an attraction called America Sings that used to be over in Tomorrowland at Disneyland. Now, in America Sings, they featured several different animatronic animals, and they would go through and sing classic American songs like America, America, ba, ba, da, ba, da, ba, and America the Beautiful, and so many other classic American songs. Yankee Doodle. Brent stumped. Mark this day on your calendar. I did draw a huge blank there, and I just dropped my phone too. Something is wrong today, and I don't know what. So America's Things would go through, and it was mainly built for the American bicentennial. So back in 1976, we were celebrating the 200th anniversary of America. So we came out with America Sings, also America on Parade, which is why I was thinking that, because the two of them both came out for America's bicentennial. So when the attraction first opened up, it was a huge hit, but as years would go on, about 10 years later, they started to realize that maybe things for this attraction just would not be as, it just was, America had been 200 years for quite a few years now, and they were like, you know what, we need to have it so we come up with something different, something new, because, like I said, it was an older attraction. So while all that stuff was going on with America Sings, there was something else that was going on in the Walt Disney CEO spot. So at this point, Roy O. Disney would kind of do this big shake-up, Roy E. Disney would do this big shake-up in the 1980s, where he decided to oust the CEO of the company, along with a bunch of the other top board members. I thought I had the popcorn seed popping out, but it didn't. So when this thing was going on, we got a brand new CEO by the name of Michael Eisner. So when Michael Eisner came in, one of the things that he wanted to do is he wanted to have it so Disneyland and Walt Disney World would become more welcoming to younger, hipper people like myself. So what he decided to do was he wanted to try to figure out a way how to bring more new people in, and he wanted to have it so they came up with more thrill attractions. So one of the things he actually came up to was he went up to the Imagineering department and said, hey, I've got this idea for you. Flume ride. And the Imagineer said, no, we don't want to do a flume ride because flume rides just aren't that fun. Now, if you've ever been on a flume ride that is not Splash Mountain, and if you went to one that was built prior to Splash Mountain, you've probably been on the standard flume ride that I went to back at Six Flags Great America in Gurnee, Illinois. It is the most basic attraction of all time. So the way that it used to work, the one that's up at Six Flags Great America, you would go up a ramp, then you would go around a corner, and then you would drop down, you would get soaking wet, and then you would go around and to get to the unload area. And it was a very simple attraction, very boring attraction. It was nice to get soaked and, but besides that, there was not any storyline. There was no things. But this is what Michael Eisner wanted. He wanted to have it so we would have a flume-like attraction. And they said, we're not going to do that. We need something more exciting. We want storytelling. That's what Disney's all about. So around the same time, they were going through and trying to figure out what they're going to do with America Sings. And they say, you know what? It's just time for us to go to America Sings. Now, as the story goes, Tony Baxter, a massive, massive, massive Imagineer, you can thank him for so many different things around the Disney company. One of his first big contributions would be things like Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Journey into Imagination with Figment, the original, the OG. He had created so many different classic attractions for Disney in the 1970s and 1980s. And as the story goes, one day he was stuck on I-95 or I-5, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the road that's out of LA. He was going down I-5 traffic. He was stuck in traffic for quite some time. And while he was sitting there, he started to think about all the different troubles that they had in Imagineering and how they might be able to solve them. And while he was sitting there, he came to a conclusion that Splash Mountain, or not Splash Mountain, but the characters that were found in America Sings were very similar to the characters that were also found in the old film Song of the South, which he personally really enjoyed. So because those characters were similar to the characters that were found in Song of the South, he started to kind of come up with the idea of maybe they could do an attraction based around those two connected in some way, shape, or form. I don't understand why my volume's on. ESPN app. I don't know what you're telling me, but we're not listening right now, okay? We're talking about Splash Mountain. Anyway, so they're going through, and he's coming to this conclusion that two of them are similar to one another. And then he also comes to another conclusion that, hey, if we have those two teaming up and having it so we have an attraction based off of or reusing those animatronics from America Sings for a brand new attraction based off of Song of the South, maybe we can also bring in Michael Eisner's idea of having a flume attraction and having it so all those things would be connected to one another. And the name of the attraction obviously would be Zippity Doo-Dah River Run, because it just makes sense. Why not have Zippity Doo-Dah River Run as the name of the attraction? So Zippity Doo-Dah River Run would feature all of the different characters from Splash Mountain from Song of the South, along with the characters from America Sings, teaming them up together, throw you down a hill, and voila, you have magic. So Michael Eisner would come in, and during this meeting, he would greenlight several different projects. One of the projects he would greenlight would be Star Tours. Another one would be Splash Mountain. Another one would be the Indiana Jones attraction. However, one of the things that we should talk about is not the fact that Michael Eisner greenlit them, but he actually went through and he brought in his son, who was a teenager at the time, and he actually had his son come through and figure out which one of these attractions would work and which one of them would not work, because he figured if his teenage son would not want to go on these attractions, why on earth would they want to build them? Because he wants to have it so we get more of the teen crowd inside the parks as well, because up until this point, we had a lot of younger guests and we had a lot of older guests, but we didn't really have anything from the tween crowd. So they wanted to get more of those people in. So he brought in his teenager, and a lot of the Imagineers, no joke, their jobs really relied on the fact that this teenager may or may not like these attractions. So luckily, he did like a lot of these attraction ideas, and a lot of these attraction ideas would be built. However, he did not like the idea of the name Zippity Doo-Dah River Run. It just did not sound very good. So what he decided to do was name it a completely different thing. So back in 1984, Disney would have a brand new motion picture label. This motion picture label would be Touchstone Pictures, and Touchstone Pictures launched with its very first live-action film, which would be known as Splash, starring Tom Hanks. It actually put Tom Hanks on the map. You know Tom Hanks, right? Hopefully. No. Anyways, we've never heard of the guy. But anyways, so Tom Hanks would star in this movie Splash, and with this movie Splash, it actually became the #1 movie of that summer. And because it was such a huge hit, Michael Eisner, being a very smart businessman, said, I want people to associate this attraction with this movie. So let's have it so this movie or this attraction is going to be called Splash Mountain, even though it deals with nothing with the movie Splash. But that way people might think it does and actually hop on the ride. Plus, Splash Mountain is going to be a lot easier to say than the Zippity Doo-Dah River Run. Pretty accurate. So Splash Mountain would be born in June 1988 over in Disneyland. So on the day that it opened up, it did rain. So literally every person in the park got wet, whether they got on Splash Mountain or not. A few years later, Disney said, you know what, Splash Mountain, huge hit. Let's have it so we bring a Splash Mountain over to Walt Disney World as well. So over in Walt Disney World, they would open up one in Frontierland. Now, here's the thing. Over in Disneyland, it would kind of create a little bit of chaos with creating it over there. But if you've ever been to Disneyland, if you've ever paid attention to the history of Disneyland and the name of the lands over there, the lands have gone through so many different changes. So obviously, if you are a fan of Walt Disney World, you would in your mind think, oh, Splash Mountain, Frontierland. However, if you're in Disneyland, you would think Critter Country or Bear Country or Frontierland or what is it? So the area where Splash Mountain is found over in Disneyland originally started off as Frontierland and then eventually turned into New Orleans Square, and then it became Critter Country, or I'm sorry, Bear Country, and now it is Critter Country because of Splash Mountain. Now in the future, who knows what it's going to be, because you just have Winnie the Pooh over there, because the other is going to become part of New Orleans Square. So I don't know if Bear Country or Critter Country is even going to exist anymore. If it's going to go back to Bear Country or just, the Winnie the Pooh land. I have no idea. Now I'm very curious about this. I haven't really put any thought into this until this very second. And now I'm very curious what they're going to do with that entire land. Is it still going to be Critter Country? I hope so. I like the Hungry Bear restaurant. I think that's a great restaurant. If you've never gone over there, check it out. It's a great quick service restaurant. Probably one of my favorite quick service restaurants in Disneyland Park. If you put it between Disneyland and California Adventure, I think California Adventure has better quick service options. But anyways, that's completely besides the point. So in Walt Disney World, they decided that they're going to put it over in Frontierland. A few people back then were a little upset. And the main reason they were upset is something that people are upset by now with Tiana's, the Tiana's attraction that's going to be coming. Because when the ride first opened up, they said, okay, Frontierland, you have it so it's based off of Splash Mountain. Splash Mountain did not take place in the frontier. It took place in Georgia. So why on earth can you have this attraction that takes place in Georgia, a state that's literally on the East Coast? Why would you have it so it goes through and go all the way to the West, the Frontierland? It doesn't make any sense. And they kind of came through and they were trying to figure it all out. And they said, you know what, we're just going to paint it a different color so it kind of fits in with the color scheme of Frontierland. And that's how they had it with Georgia. Now, a lot of people have been complaining about Tiana's being they said New Orleans isn't even in the West. It doesn't make sense that it's going to be in Frontierland. It's further west than Georgia. That's the thing that I keep on thinking about is you've got the Bayou Adventure is going to be a little further west than what Splash Mountain was. But anyways, that's besides the point. That's just my 2 cents about it. All right, so what we're going to do is let's talk a little bit about the Frontierland version of Splash Mountain, the one that's here at Walt Disney World, because it's the one that I know the best. And we're going to talk about some fun finds, some details that you can no longer go see, but at the same time, hopefully you can sit back, relax, and enjoy a virtual tour on Splash Mountain. As always, while we go through here and talk, if you guys have any questions about anything, make sure you throw them into the into the comments, and I'll answer any and all questions. The story of how the name Splash Mountain came to be sounds made up. It really does, doesn't it? Years from now, one of the Imagineers will probably be like, haha, we made that whole story up. But that's the story they've been telling for years. So I am assuming that it's a real story because that's literally the story they always tell. Okay, so let's talk about Splash Mountain. How do you do? Mighty fine reading. How do you do? So Splash Mountain would open up back in the early 1990s. And when it would open up in the early 1990s, like I said, it would go take place in Frontierland. Now, while you're going through the queue, there are a few different tidbits that you had to pay attention to. Otherwise, well, you just would miss some different details. So the first one is there are some wanted posters. The wanted posters were for Brer Fox and Brer Bear. Now, these wanted posters were just kind of letting you know that these are the people that are looking for trouble. Now, in reality, one of them would say looking for trouble. Another one would say looking for adventure, Brer Rabbit. And then Brer Bears just said, just looking. So also while you went through the queue, the outside part of the queue, you would go through and on the top, you would find these different birdhouses. People always said they were Chippendale. They were not Chippendale, and their Imagineers confirmed that years and years and years ago. However, up until it closed up, people would still go through and talk about how it was Chippendale's houses up there. It wasn't. It was just chipmunk voices. But guess what? There's more chipmunks in the world than just Chippendale. Just side note. The seats are way better in Walt Disney World version. 1,000,000% agree with you. I hate it. Let's also put this out there right now. I do think that the Walt Disney World version is 1,000,000 times better than the Disneyland version. And the main reason that I feel like the Walt Disney World one's better is, one, I think the seats are better. I feel like you get wet still, but you don't get sopping wet like over in Disneyland. It was awful. 2, it is a longer attraction in Disneyland, but they speed you through the attraction a lot faster. So you actually have less time on the attraction than Walt Disney World. Walt Disney World is a smaller track, not by a lot, but it was a smaller track, and they moved the logs along at a slower pace. So you really got to take in the entire storyline. At Disneyland, you would be going through, and it would be like, well, I see that. And I was like, wait, what happened? You'd just be flying past the scenes, and it always drove me crazy every time I went to Disneyland. I still enjoyed the Disneyland version. I just didn't think it was as good as the Walt Disney World version. Just my personal opinion. So when you're going through the queue, or right before you enter into the first little building there, on the left and right hand side, you can see that there is a 50-foot plunge ahead, and the paper that was the Rabbit Tails paper, and it was from 1992. And there we go through and just talking about how there is a 50-foot plunge ahead. People are going to hollow the logs and throwing themselves off of it. Then you would go through a little area, and then you would eventually go upstairs. And while you're going upstairs, you would look down at the little area that you were just in. As you would go through, you would find our first character, which would be Brer Rabbit. Now, fun fact, the Brer Rabbit character was actually created to be a replacement for Uncle Remus. Now, one of the main things was they wanted to have it. So Uncle Remus was the storyteller of the Song of the South Tales. The entire stories of Brer Rabbit originally were from Uncle Remus way back in the 1800s. Uncle Remus being a very real person who used to go through and tell the stories of Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, and Brer Bear. So they wanted to have it so Uncle Remus was there in some way, shape, or form. However, they didn't want to have it so they had it took you out of place and had it so there was a character that was not an animated character. So they decided to have it so they would put a frog in the place of Uncle Remus. So so Brer Frog will be the narrator for the attraction from start to finish. Even though he's not always there, he is the one who's guiding us along the trail. So you would have him there inside of a room, and then you just see his shadow going through and saying, well, one day, Brer Rabbit, and it was just kind of like these types of things where he just kind of introducing us to the story. Now, as you would continue going through there, once again, you would have pictures of Brer Rabbit looking for adventure, Brer Fox looking for trouble, and Brer Bear just looking. In addition to that, you would also have on the left-hand side a picture of Chickabin Hill, which would be the name of the mountain, a splash mountain, along with the little log at the top. And then in addition to that, we would also have a picture of the Briar Patch, which would be the home of Brer Rabbit. All right, so you would get onto the attraction. When you would get on the attraction, the first character that you'd see would be Brer Frog. By the way, this is just like wild in my mind because I'm literally going through the attraction right now, and I've not come on it since January. So it's exciting. Even though like I know none of us can actually see the attraction, I can see it right up here. Hopefully you can see it too through the narration. So on our left-hand side, we have Brer Frog, and he would go, well, I say, Brer Fox and Brer Bear better be looking for trouble. I don't know about you. I don't know how he turned it to Yogi Bear there at the end, but he would be going through and talking a few different phrases that would talk about Brer Fox and Brer Bear trying to catch Brer Rabbit, or Brer Rabbit heading off out of his house and trying to find some adventure. You get to the top of the first hill, I'd usually be that person who's like, pretend like it was the big drop, and then people behind you would be freaking out who've never been on the attraction before, but in reality, you were just going around the little area where the actual drop was taking place. Then you would go up another hill. While you're going up another hill, there were a few different little details that were fun to look at, but nothing like too out of the ordinary, really cool. On the left-hand side, we did have a checkers table, not chess. We had checkers there, along with a few different coats. Now, the different coats there would represent some of the different characters that were found in the song, or in the film Song of the South, including Little Johnny and, of course, Uncle Remus himself. You get to the very top of the hill, and then you would start going through your first little animated version of the world that we are now living in. As you would go through, you go past some turnips, cabbage, and a whole lot more on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we would have a massive barrel that said muskrat on it. If you look below the S in muskrat, or I'm sorry, above it, not below it, doesn't matter. No one's going to go on this ride anyways. But they're like, wait a minute. If you looked above the S in muskrat, you would find a hidden Mickey there, carved out of some stuff that was coming out of the top of the bowl. As you would go through there, you would also find above you a birdhouse. Now, one of my favorite little details about the birdhouse is the fact that at the top of it, you have a weather vane. Now, a lot of the different weather vanes that are found in the human world feature different animals, whether it's a rooster, a monkey. I don't know, I've never seen one with a monkey on it, but that's the word that came out of my mouth. A rabbit, and so much more. So if you look at the weather vane for the animals, of course, it is a human being instead of an animal because, well, we're in a completely different world now. If you're also looking at this one on the left-hand side, you could also find the weather vane for Brer Rabbit himself. You would go around the corner, and this is where we get to some really cool details. Now, this next detail we're going to talk about is one of those details that I think we really have to focus on solely because if we don't focus on this detail, you're going to be completely blown away later on about what I have to say. So, the first thing you would find on your left-hand side was a hole with some red and white drapes over it. And if you look at this hole of the red and white drapes, you would see that there was a sign out front that says Brer Rabbit. Now, right behind that, you would actually see the people who are coming down the log as well. So Brer Rabbit's house is there. On the right-hand side, we would have Brer Bear's house. You could also hear him snoring inside. Sometimes he would talk. And out front, you would have 4 different bottles with some disgusting-looking liquid inside. It used to be like white, like milk, and then as the years would go on, they just never changed it, and it became like red eventually. And then we would get to our first drop of the attraction. The first drop would be called Slip and Falls, which I just love the pun, slip and falls, but it was Slip and Falls. And so you would go down. While you were going down, above you would be a broken bridge, and then you would eventually get into the laughing place. Now, or not the laughing place, I'm sorry, just into the world of Brer Rabbit. So when you got in there, you would start hearing the song, how do you do? Pleased to meet you. Fine, how are you? I'm not saying fine. What goes up is sure to come down. Penny lost is a penny found. How do you do? And you howdy back. A little bit of this and a little bit of that. How do you do? Fine, how are you? They had that at one point, and that always cracked me up. So as you're going through here, we had a few different things that we need to take a look at and pay attention to before we actually start getting into the characters. On our left-hand side, we had several different animals, including a bunch of geese and different birds that are going fishing. Now, that would be on the one side. You would also have some frogs there. The frogs were just sitting there singing along because that's what frogs do. Eventually, above you, there would be another bird that is sitting there fishing. If you looked at the worm that was on his fishing line, you would see that not only is this a worm, it was also a worm that was also a face. So he actually had a smile, eyes, and he was also wearing a little straw hat. Love that worm. Absolutely love that worm. When the attraction closed, I think he was the one that was most sad to go. After you would go past him, we would eventually get to our first sighting of actually animatronics of Brer Fox, Brer Rabbit, and Brer Bear. Now, Brer Fox and Brer Bear were hiding behind a tree, watching Brer Rabbit board up his house because he was going away. He doesn't know where he's going, but he's going on an adventure, and Brer Fox and Brer Bear are going to capture him because, well, they want to eat him. It's just that simple. I would also like to point out that this is going to be the first and only time that we will see Brer Bear and not just Brer Bear's butt. As the time goes on, throughout the attraction, you will start to notice, oh my gosh, you just they realized it's funny to see a butt, so we might as well just keep on doing the same joke over and over and over again. And that's why you see Bear's butt so often. Bear butt. It's good. Never mind. So you'd see them on our left-hand side. We would get to some raccoons along with a turtle being played as a xylophone. On our right-hand side, we would get to 2 bunnies, and they would say, there goes Brer Fox and Brer Bear trying to catch Brer Rabbit again. Oh, there goes Brer Rabbit, always looking for trouble. So that was on the right-hand side. It was the one little girl who was sweeping the front porch, and then the other one was kind of off in the hills. Always loved those 2. If you look behind them, you would find a silhouette of the 2 or the 3 characters chasing over the hills. Then you would get to our next scene. Our next scene was the first scene that would have a foiled Brer Fox and Brer Bear. In front of them, there is a book called How to Catch Rabbit. The book was written by Brer Wolf, not Brer Fox. A lot of people would say that it was Brer Fox that wrote it. In reality, it's Brer Wolf. Actually, if you go through in that first scene, you can find the book there as well. So Brer Wolf was the one who caught it. However, they did not catch a rabbit. They caught Brer Bear. So Brer Bear is hanging there. You can still see his face, but also his butt is right there at the boat because, again, it's funny. Brer Fox is yelling at Brer Bear about how stupid can you be, blah, 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 blah. You got caught in the own trap, blah, 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 blah. And then on the left-hand side, At every other boat, Brer Rabbit would jump on the fence post and start laughing at the two of them for falling into their own trap. Now, this audiomatronic that was found here was one of the most advanced audiomatronics of all time because it did move. There was someone who told me not that long ago that it's the most expensive audiomatronic that they've ever created. Still to this day, not true at all. I don't even know if it was the most expensive when they created it, but I mean, it was advanced. It was one of the more advanced audiomatronics. It still was not the most advanced audiomatronic when it opened up. However, it was a very advanced audiomatronic for the time that it was created, but not the most expensive. After that, on our left-hand side, we will find Brer Crocodile sitting there fishing. Once again, everyone likes to go fishing here, which is funny because all the animals here are like friendly and they have personalities. So they are essentially like trying to kill another animal, but that's besides the point. Behind him, you would find a picnic basket along with a little buoy. That buoy was actually shaped like a hidden Mickey. Above you, you would find 3 possums. One of them was Poppy, one of them was Petuna, and the other one was Poppy, Pomsy, and Petunia were the 3 that were hanging up there. The only reason you know their names is because on your left-hand side, you would eventually have a mailbox with all 3 of their names on it. On the right-hand side, you would have a kind of a little nod to the fact that we are in Frontierland. It was a mine that was closed. It says mine closed. Now, prior to this, we didn't really have any attractions that would have or would not have a mine. So they wanted to include a mine inside of this attraction. Now, prior to this being open, we had it so every other Frontierland attraction was there. And actually, all the Frontierland attractions have opened before Splash Mountain. They've also still existed after Splash Mountain. So over at the Frontierland Shooting Arcade, we've got a little mine there. Over at Country Bear Jamboree, in one of the scenes, you can find a mine off in the distance. Over at Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, obviously it's a mining company. You're going through mines. And then over at Tom Sawyer Island, you go through a mine as well. So all the different attractions had a mine in some way, shape, or form. And they wanted to include that with all that. So on the right-hand side, you will find a mine. That mine says mine closed. So fun fact there. And most people were looking at the characters on the left. So a lot of people would miss that mine on the left-hand side. As you would continue going through there, you would find another mailbox. This one would be for BB, Brer. No, not Bear. We already saw Brer Bear's mailbox up before we went to Slip and Falls. This was actually for Brer Beaver. Brer Beaver was also found with the raccoon and the turtle in the prior scene with the 2 little bunnies on the right-hand side. He was on the left-hand side. They were on the right-hand side. Then we would get to our next spot. Once again, we would have Brer Fox and Brer Bear stuck. Brer Bear's butt is sticking right at you. And Brer Rabbit would be stuck ahead. He would paint a thing that says laughing place this way. So you would go down what I still think to this day is the best drop in the entire attraction. It's in the dark. You go down and then you go up. It was so much fun. I loved it. And you would hear, ha, 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 ha. And then you would eventually make your way into the laughing place. And while you were in the laughing place, you would hear, everyone's got a laughing place to go ho ho. Bum 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 bum. While you're going through, you would also see all these different beehives and Brer Bear, beehive stuck in his face, getting stung by bees, and his butt was right on us again. Brer Fox was also stuck with a beehive, and Brer Rabbit was next to him laughing and saying, I said this was my laughing place and not your laugh, and not yours, and I'm laughing. Then you would go down another little drop and you would be into, once again, we're still in the laughing place. So you used to have these frogs, and the frogs used to spit water out, and it was really cool. So you'd be going through. They would first have like the one would there was like a water fountain that would kind of keep on jumping over your boat, and then there was some frogs that were sitting there and spitting water out too. Loved the little special effects. They would eventually just not be working anymore. On our right-hand side, we would have another hidden Mickey. There was a rope that was hanging there. Hanging from the rope, there were 3 loops, and they formed a hidden Mickey. And then you would eventually get to the gophers, moles. I guess they were moles. And they would go, hey, you, FSU. And a lot of people would always go through and say, this is saying FSU is a nod to Florida State University. In fact, I believed this for years and years and years because I heard someone who was an Imagineer would go through and say, well, I worked at Florida State University. It was a nod to Florida State University, until eventually Tony Baxter would go through and say, it's not a nod to Florida State University. In fact, It is the guy saying ah-ah-chew. And so Tony Baxter said it, so I believe that it is an ah-ah-chew instead of the FSU. Although I can see how, I mean, I thought it was FSU for years and years and years, but yeah, they said that it was an ah-ah-chew. Then while you're going through those, on the right-hand side and the left-hand side, we'd have several different wooden things that said danger, back off, Brer Fox's lair. And you knew that maybe there's some trouble coming around. Eventually we would get to Brer Rabbit stuck inside of a beehive with Brer Fox next to him, claiming that he finally caught him. Now, while you started to go up the hill, you would have some vultures above you. There was, I thought you said this was a laughing place. Then how come you are laughing? We found yourself a laughing place right up here. And you would be going up. There's all the different bad eyes on the left-hand side, right-hand side. And then eventually at the very top of the hill, you would have it so you would see Brer Rabbit there stuck, and then you would see Brer Fox's shadow in the background, and he would go through several different phrases like, well, Brer Rabbit, I guess I'm just going to have to roast you. He goes, roast me all you want, but please don't fling me in that briar patch. Okay, let's take a step back. We're going to go back 40 years, because 40 years prior to this, in the film Song of the South, the idea was if Brer Rabbit was going to get killed in some way, shape, or form, what he had to do was he had to out-trick the people who have caught him, Brer Fox and Brer Bear. Now, in the movie, just like the attraction, Brer Fox would come up and say, I'm going to roast you. Roast me all you want, but please don't fling me in that briar patch. And he's like, okay, well, maybe I'm going to skin you. And he goes, okay, skin me all you want, but please don't fling me in that briar patch. Okay, well, I guess I'm just going to have to burn you. Well, burn me all you want, but don't fling me in that briar patch. And so then eventually what Brer Fox would think was, okay, well, all these things he seems fine with, but he really doesn't want to be flung into that briar patch. So maybe what I'll have to do is fling him into that briar patch. Now, the reason that he does this is not because Brer Rabbit is afraid of the briar patch, but it's because he's actually from the briar patch. That's where he was born and raised, and that's where he's going to stay. So in the movie, just like in the attraction, he flings us off the cliff, or Brer Rabbit, into the briar patch, and then Brer Rabbit on the other side of the movie would say, ha ha ha, I was born and raised in the briar patch. And he's all happy because that's how he lives. Now let's also take a look at one other thing, because as we start to be flung down into the briar patch, there's something that we know we're going to be okay. We're going back home. And not just because if you've never seen the movie, which a lot of people have never seen the movie, but if you've never seen the movie and you don't know about this whole backstory about that's where his home is and that's why he wants to be there. But if you want a clue on where his home is, just go back. Okay, we're back like 10 minutes into our story. So about 10 minutes ago, we were talking about how you would go past the birdhouse, and on top of the birdhouse, there was a human on the, on the weather vane, because that's opposite of what we would have here. So eventually after that, you would go past a thing that said Brer Rabbit home, and it would be pointing down. It'd be pointing home down to his home in the briar patch. So the entire thing is they are telling you right then and there that where we are flinging and seeing those people go down at is the exact same spot that Brer Rabbit wants to go, because that's actually his home. He knows that. He was born there. He lives there. That's where he wants to be in all that time. So now, fast forward, we are now being flung into the safest place that we can possibly be. Yes, we are defying all odds by being flung 50 feet down into the ground, but in reality, we are being thrown back into the briar patch where we, along with Brer Rabbit, belong. You would eventually go around a corner and go down another little waterfall, which is like yay big, but I would always put my hands up if I was on the front row and let out a big scream to try to scare anyone who's behind me, again, who has never been on the attraction before. And then eventually you would make your way into our final scenes. When you get to the final scenes, first off, we had a massive banner there that said, welcome home, Brer Rabbit. And we would have all the different characters singing, zippity-doo-dah, zippity-ay, my, oh my, what a wonderful day. We would also have this massive showboat at the end. Now, if you look at the giant showboat over in Disneyland, it featured several different kinds of characters. This, again, was going back to America Sings days. These are the different animatronics that were found in America Sings that would eventually inspire the idea of Splash Mountain. However, obviously, that does not exactly work as the way. But anyways, that's beside the point. Then we would get to our final spot where we would see Brer Bear's butt. He would be stuck inside of a hole, and Brer Fox was trying to, get him out. And then at the same time, an alligator is trying to eat Brer Fox's tail. And then eventually we would get to the final scene, which featured Brer Rabbit with Mr. Bluebird there. Now, Mr. Bluebird, of course, is a nod to the song Zippity Doo Dah, where Mr. Bluebird's on my shoulder. It's the truth, it's actual, everything is satisfactual. So here we have Brer Bluebird, along Mr. Bluebird, along with Brer Rabbit there, and there Mr. Bluebird is telling him Brer Rabbit, this is where you're supposed to be, this is where you're supposed to stay, this is your home. And he's saying, I'm never leaving my home once again. And then you would turn the corner and we would get to our final room. This room did get dimmer as the last few years of Splash Mountain were going on. But if you looked on the left-hand side, you would find in the woodwork, there were a few different paintings. The first one said, it's the truth. The next one would say, it's actual. And then the next one would say, everything is satisfactual. And then there was a massive mural of a sunset, and it said, it's a zippity doo dah day. And then you would make your way to the exit and leave Splash Mountain, unfortunately, forever. And that, my friends, is our walkthrough of Splash Mountain at Walt Disney World. We didn't even need to go into our notes, except for trying to remember what America Sings was called. Oh yeah, let's go to your questions. If anyone has any questions out there, we've got about 7 or 8 minutes left here to go through any questions that you guys might have. Unless you get more subscribers, then we will go into extra earnings here. Wonder what they do with all the old animatronics. So this is what they do with the old animatronics. So some of them will go through and be repurposed. I guarantee we will see some of the ones that you see on Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which will be coming out next year, late next year. But I think some of the animatronics that we see there will be repurposed animatronics that we have seen prior in Splash Mountain. But some of the big ones, like Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, and Brer Bear, probably the first Brer Frog at the very start of the attraction when you start going up the hill. Some of those more classic, iconic characters, they will be put into the Walt Disney Archives and preserved forever and ever and ever as a piece of the history of both Walt Disney World and Disneyland. Brer Rabbit is a little bit different over in Disneyland compared to how he was at Walt Disney World. He has in Disneyland, there are some scenes where he's got like a white streak of hair, while over at Walt Disney World, he's just completely brown hair. So I'm assuming that they'll probably keep both versions as a historical input forever and ever and ever. All right, keep throwing your questions out there. If anyone has any questions about Splash Mountain, we'd be more than happy to answer them right now. Do you want to hear a story about my water bottle while you guys ask questions? So last night I went to go see the new Little Mermaid movie. Personally loved it. While I was going over there to the movie theater, I was going through the security. And while going through security, I had this water bottle. I carry this water bottle with me pretty much everywhere. And while I was going through, I placed it on the table along with my backpack and then took all my stuff out of my pockets. And the security guard asked me about it. He said, oh, did you do those races? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, yeah. And he's like, oh, are you back down again already? And I was like, oh, I live down here. And so him and I were talking for a few minutes. And then I got to the movie theater. I was thirsty. So I went to go get a sip. And my water bottle was gone. And I was like, wait a minute. Where's my water bottle at? And then I started sitting there in the movie theater thinking, I think it's at security because the guy talked to me about it at security. So I'm assuming that that's where it is. I'm assuming that I probably just left it there. And so I went back over there afterwards, but the security station was closed because it was like 12:30 at night. And I talked to a security guard that was nearby, and I was like, by any chance? And he's like, if they found it, they would brought it over to guest relations or whatnot. And, if you have any lost items, that's where it goes. And I was like, no. So today on the way to the park, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to swing by Disney Springs and see if they have my water bottle, because that's where the security spot is. And I don't mind going down escalators. It's not like I'm scared of them, but I like to get my steps in. So I usually do the stairs. And if you've ever gone to the Orange Garage, which is where I parked yesterday and today. You go down the staircase, and then you're actually on the other side of the security, and then you actually have a shorter wait to the security. It's actually a lot more convenient. And while I was going down those stairs, I saw my bottle on the table. And so I asked the people, I was like, by any chance, did anyone leave that yesterday? Because I'm pretty sure that's mine from yesterday. And they're like, you are in luck because it has liquid inside. And usually we're supposed to throw those out by the end of the night. So the fact that someone held on to it, you're very, very lucky. So that's the story of how it came home. I love this water bottle. And it's like, it's literally a 2023. So if they threw it away, there's no way for me to get it. I was actually thinking about it like last night. I was like, I'm gonna have to try to go on eBay and see if anyone's selling it. I'm so distraught. I'm so upset. Blah blah blah. Okay, anyways, let's go back to our questions here. Why are the boats different in both parks? Mainly due to the fact that in Disneyland, first off, they didn't have as much space to make it so they like it was a more condensed area where it was at. So they had to try to figure out how to do everything in a smaller spot. Plus, at that time, a lot of the things a lot of the flume rides at that point, there weren't two spots next to each other, like not just Disney, but like all flume rides in the world were usually seated front, like one person after another, like you were in a single file line. And so because of that, they decided that, that's just the way that flume rides are supposed to be. And then after a few years when they're building the Walt Disney World one, they had more space and they said, okay, we can make this like a more comfortable experience for the guest. And so that's why we had that over here. Same thing can kind of be said for Disneyland and Walt Disney World when it comes to Space Mountain. Space Mountain over here, obviously, person one after another in a single file line. It was the first one. It came out before it did over in Disneyland, and then when Disneyland, they just decided to make it so it's more comfortable and you can sit next to your friends. So same type of thing, just different, if that makes sense at all. So yeah, that's the main reason why they did it. Any other questions out there about Splash Mountain before we wrap this up? Or we'll check the subscriber count here in just a second. If the subscriber count went up, then if you guys want to throw any questions about Disney, everything Disney, throw into the comments, and we will go into extra innings here if we've gone up on subscribers. And we didn't. So we'll take one or two more Splash Mountain questions if anyone has them. We are still at 2870. Any questions? Oh, that's what ESPN was letting me know that the Milwaukee Brewers won, in case anyone wants to know. Okay, any other last questions about Splash Mountain before we wrap it up? Or if anyone wants to get a subscriber out there so we can talk about some other Disney stuff, throw that out there as well. Otherwise, we will be wrapping it up. Let's go into the book here real quick just to see if there's any other things that I may be forgetting here. Fast Pass Plus. Yes, it was. Yeah, I don't think. Fun facts. The final drop in the attraction begins 52.5 feet in the air and hurls guests down at a speed of 40 miles per hour. Ooh. The sounds of banjos and harmonicas were added to the songs found throughout the attraction to make the attraction fit in with the Frontierland theme a little bit better. Okay. Any other questions out there? It looks like we might be wrapping this up then. Okay, so as always, I'd like to remind you that tonight's episode was sponsored by It's All About the Mouse Travel Jazz Hands. Make sure you stop by. It's allaboutthemousetravel.com for all of your Disney travel needs. All their services are absolutely, positively, 100% free. So make sure you book with them for your next Disney vacation. I'd like to thank everyone out there for joining us once again this week. Please keep. I don't know. My voice is like, like I felt like I was like some villain in a 1940s movie, for a second there with the way my voice changed. But thank you everyone for joining us once again this week. If you have not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe. It would give us extra earnings tonight. Also, thank you to everyone out there who's been joining us for our daily Disney videos over on YouTube. If you've not been checking them out, make sure you check us out every single day or around my YouTube channel. We do a live, or not a live, we do a not a broadcast. We do a full video along with a short video every single day. So make sure you're giving those a chance to take a look and also to give them a like, give them a comment, all that other fun stuff. Help us grow on this channel so we can continue to provide you with great Disney content on a daily basis. Also, as always, if nothing else, remember that anything can happen if you let it. Until next week, have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Bye-bye now. Oh, wait, we'll answer this question. How many views now? Okay. I won't have the official number. I'll have a general number. That was the thing that I did not say at the start here. So at the start of the video here, I was going to point this out, and then I forgot to point this out, so I apologize. But at the start of the day, we started at, where's that? 1,499,683 views of all time. This is all time, a lifetime of views on YouTube. As you can see there, first ones were from September 20th, 2009 was the first day that I was ever on YouTube. And this is a bar graph showing you like how many views I get per day. So you can see the last year, pretty darn good. And then like that one day right in the middle was pretty good too. Back in like 2015 or 16 or whatever that might have been. So thank you, everyone. Today, we definitely would have hit the amount of views. Right now, we are currently at, it doesn't give me like the exact thing. I would actually have to go through and figure out the math. But right now, we have hit about 2,700-ish views with still a few hours to go in the day. So we'll probably be going up a little bit more from that. So thank you, everyone out there who has been checking out our videos and continue to help us grow on my YouTube channel. I can't stress enough. I really do appreciate it. 1.5 million views is unbelievable. That's something that I never. What's crazy was we hit 500,000 views last July 5th, I think it was, or 6th. We had actually, you know what? Let's figure it out right now. You guys, you guys should thank my mom because she just put us into extra innings without even meaning to put us in extra innings. Here, let's figure out the day. Ooh, putting down the word half is not the right thing because that's just bringing up all the half marathons I've done. Let's do views. Views? Would that be the right one? Hitting 1 million YouTube views, 900,000 views, hitting 500,000 views while at the Magic Kingdom. That July 12th was when that happened. July 12th. Oh, there. This is Frank. Hi, Frank. I hit 500,000 views on July 12th of last year. So now we are not even 11 months later on, and we've already gone up another million. I was actually with Frank's kid when I hit the 500,000, and I was like sobbing in Fantasyland because of 500,000. And like, it's crazy to think that it took me 13 years or almost 13 years to hit 500,000. And here we are a year later, and it's another million on top of that. It's kind of great. Like, that's just absolutely insane. And then it was 2 weeks ago, we hit 1 million in the course of 365 days. And actually, let's look at that now too. I find this kind of stuff fascinating. Like, I just like analytics of different things like that. So in the last 365 days, as of today, we are at 609,000 views. As you can see, that's 570% more than the previous 365 days. As you can see also there, last year at this time, the views were not as high as they are now. Actually, let's click on one of them. At that point, we had 814 views the one day. And I'm pretty sure, let's go to this day. Yeah, this is what's crazy, is the fact that if you go through, the last time that we had less than 1,000 views in a single day was almost a year ago. That's insane. Like, that's absolutely insane. Like, that blows my mind. So thank you. Like legit, thank you. So this is also to give you an idea. This is the last 48 hours. So we've had 7,929 views in the last 24 hours. As you can see, when I post my YouTube shorts, that's usually when those spikes are. Oop, that's not it. That's when those spikes are in the day. So we're getting there. How many subs? We are currently at. Oh, we just went up one. Hey, we're at 7,871. So like I said, if we get 6 more subscribers by the end of tonight, so in an hour and a half, or now it'd be 5, that's going to put us at 100 subscribers for the month of May, which is not too shabby at all. Here, let's go here. Yeah, so right now we are up 96 subscribers for the month. So for 4 away. So 4 away from that. So keep throwing people out there. Keep throwing people this way. If we get another 4 by midnight, that'd be pretty awesome. It's not going to be the most we've ever had in a single month, but it would be the most that we've had. February, March, and April, the views weren't doing very well, and the subscribers weren't doing very well either. Come on now, let's get 4 million views by the end of Disneyland Half Marathon next year. So by January of next year, 4 million views. I think we can do it. My goal actually at the start of the year was to get 5 million views by the end of the year. So let's try to hit that. We just need 3.5 million more views to hit that milestone. I think it actually is possible with the way that things are moving right now. It is possible. So keep on sending your friends, loved ones. If you don't like this stuff, send your enemies over. And yeah, but let's continue our bye-bye. So everyone, till next week, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Bye-bye now. Goodbye. Are they gone? Are they gone? Oh, good. My cheeks are just killing me. I just can't stand this kind of pressure.